communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome to Millennium TV24 Global News Network. My name is Todd David Goldfinger, and here's today's top stories. Linda Navarre moved to Sandpoint, Idaho from Cleveland in 1978, when the town consisted of people in the timber industry and hippies. Quotes, and they all got along. They all got along, the hippies and the timber industry. Now she barely recognizes the small resort community near the Canadian border that is quickly growing as people disenchanted with big city life are moving there. Many are conservatives fed up with liberal politics in blue states. Quotes, the division gets wider and wider, end quotes, Navarre said, adding many of the new arrivals are changing the civility of the community. Quotes, my concern is there are so many people who are not nice, end quotes. Sandpoint is a four-season resort town built along the shores of scenic Lake Pend Oreille. It had 7,300 residents in the 2010 census, but grew 21% in the decade to about 8,900 people in the 2020 census. In addition to the natural beauty, people come here because it's a red state, said longtime resident Gail Cameron, 67 years old. Next news. 7 people were killed, including 2 children, when several tornadoes swept through central Iowa, destroying homes and knocking down trees and power lines in the state's deadliest storm in more than a decade, authorities said. Emergency management officials in Madison County said 4 were injured and 6 people were killed Saturday when one tornado touched down in the area southwest of Des Moines, near the town of Winterset around 4:30 p.m. Among those killed were 2 children under the age of 5 and 4 adults. In Lucas County, about 54 miles, 87 kilometers southeast of Des Moines, officials confirmed 1 death and multiple reported injuries when a separate tornado struck less than an hour later. The State Department of Natural Resources said that the person who died was in an RV at the campground at Red Haw State Park in Chariton, Iowa. Thunderstorms that spawned tornadoes moved through much of Iowa from the afternoon until Saturday night, with storms also causing damage in the Des Moines suburb of Norwalk, areas just east of Des Moines, and other areas of eastern Iowa. The storms were fueled by warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. Next news. As the prospect of a red wave grows, a series of Republican missteps, including recruiting stumbles, weak fundraising, and intense infighting, is threatening the GOP's path to the Senate majority. Arizona's Republican Governor Doug Ducey dealt his party its latest setback late last week by announcing he would not challenge Democratic Senator Mark Kelly this fall. His decision, which leaves no obvious frontrunner in a crowded Republican primary, disappointed Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell and his allies, who had spent months privately encouraging Ducey to run. But the GOP's shortcomings extend well beyond Arizona. Republican candidates in Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada are struggling to keep pace with Democratic fundraising. Recruiting failures have dashed GOP hopes in reach states like Maryland and threaten a prime pickup opportunity in New Hampshire. And a recent plan that would raise taxes on low-income Americans and seniors, released by the Republican Senate midterm chief, Florida Senator Rick Scott, is putting GOP candidates in a difficult position across states like Wisconsin, Ohio, and Florida. Next news. John Fetterman was sitting alone in the corridor outside the hotel ballroom where Pennsylvania's Democratic Party committee members were gathered, looking every bit like someone who didn't belong there. Moments later, Fetterman, Pennsylvania's sitting lieutenant governor, got trounced by more than 2-1 by U.S. Representative Connor Lamb in an endorsement vote in the party's primary race for U.S. Senate. In barely 2 months, Democrats will find out if the party's electorate feels differently about nominating Fetterman, a mold-breaking candidate much better known to Democrats than his rivals, to be its standard bearer in a premier Senate contest. Not only did Fetterman come from the party's progressive wing, but he is irreverent, blunt, and, well, something to see. At 6 feet 8 inches, he is tattooed and goateed. His head is clean-shaven, and he is most often seen wearing shorts, even in winter, in casual work shorts. We're going to take a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Network. Here's the continuation of today's headlines. Public transit systems straining to win back riders after being crushed by the COVID-19 pandemic are getting a $3.7 billion boost to stay afloat and invest in new fleets of electric buses? Good. With mask restrictions fading and workers beginning to return to offices, the Biden administration said Monday it was awarding $2.2 billion in coronavirus relief funding to 35 financially strapped transit agencies in 18 states. The money would be used to prop up day-to-day operations, including staffing and payroll, as well as cleaning and sanitation to limit the spread of illness in public transportations. A federal mask mandate for public transit remains in effect until at least March 18th, 2022. Next news. Vice President Kamala Harris visited Selma, Alabama on Sunday to commemorate a defining moment in the fight for equal voting rights. Even as congressional efforts to restore the landmark in 1965 Voting Rights Act have faltered. Under a blazing blue sky, Harris linked arms with rank and file activists from the civil rights movement and led thousands across the bridge where, on March 7th, 1965, white state troopers attacked black voting rights marchers attempting to cross. The images of violence at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, originally named for a Confederate general, shocked the nation and helped to galvanize support for the passage of the Voting Rights Act. Harris called the site hallowed ground where people fought for the most fundamental right of American citizenship, the most fundamental right of American citizenship, the right to vote. End quotes. Thank you. Next news. Just 6 months after he resigned from office in disgrace over sexual harassment allegations, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo appeared to be hinting at a political comeback in remarks at a Brooklyn church on Sunday. The Democrat made a campaign-like stop at Brooklyn Church Sunday, delivering a speech in which he condemned cancel culture. The public appearance, his first since leaving office, came after Cuomo's campaign launched a digital and television advertising campaign pushing a similar message. He was driven from office unfairly. Cuomo quoted the Bible several times as he described his travails, then went on the offensive to attack the political sharks in Albany, who, he said, smelled blood and exploited the situation for political gain. The action against, in quotes, this is in quotes, the actions against me were prosecutorial misconduct, end quote, Cuomo said, repeating a theme he has pushed from the outset. In quotes, they used cancel culture to effectively overturn an election. End quotes. Next news. China's top diplomat on Monday accused Washington of trying to create an Asian version of the US-European NATO military alliance and said it is up to the Biden administration to improve relations with North Korea. U.S. policy toward East Asia and the Indian Ocean, and efforts to strengthen military ties with Japan, Australia, and India are a, quotes, disaster that disrupts regional peace and stability, end quotes, Wang Yi said at a news conference. The comments reflected in the ruling Communist Party's ambitions to be Asia's undisputed power and its frustration with resistance from neighbors to its territorial claims in the South China Sea and the Himalayas. They also reflect Beijing's stance toward Russia's invasion of Ukraine. China has sought to distance itself from the war by calling for dialogue and respect for national sovereignty. It is also said that Washington is to blame for the conflict for failing to take Russia's security concerns into consideration. Earlier. A short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium TV Global News Network. Thank you for being with us. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you. Russia announced yet another ceasefire and a handful of humanitarian corridors to allow civilians to flee Ukraine starting Monday. Although the evacuation routes were mostly leading to Russia and its ally Belarus, drawing withering criticism from Ukraine and others. It was not immediately clear if any evacuations were taking place. Russian forces continued to pummel some Ukrainian cities with rockets even after the new announcement of corridors, and fierce fighting continued in some areas, indicating that there would be no wider cessation of hostilities. Efforts to set up safe passages for civilians to leave besieged areas over the weekend fell apart. But the Russian Defense Ministry announced a new push Monday, saying civilians would be allowed to leave the capital of Kiev, the southern port city of Mariupol, and the cities of Kharkiv and Sumy. Next news. Netflix and TikTok suspended most of their services in Russia on Sunday as the government cracks down on what people and media outlets can say about Russia's war in Ukraine. Pulling the plug on online entertainment and information is likely to further isolate the country and its people after a growing number of multinational businesses have cut off Russia from vital financial services. Technology and a variety of consumer products in response to Western economic sanctions and global outrage over the invasion of Ukraine. Next news. French President Emmanuel Macron criticized hypocritical rhetoric and cynicism from Moscow about offering to open humanitarian corridors to Russia for Ukrainian civilians. In quotes, humanitarian actors need to be able to intervene. So we must get full ceasefires when they intervene to place under protection women, children, and men who need to be protected. And we must be able to get them out of the conflict area. End quotes, Macron said Monday in an interview on French news broadcaster LCI. The issue won't be solved via corridors which are being threatened right away by Russia, end quotes, he said, saying that we are going to protect people by bringing them to Russia is hypocritical, he added. This is cynicism and that is unbearable, he said. That was Macron. Next news. The race between South Korea's two leading presidential candidates has seen unprecedented levels of toxic rhetoric, mudslinging, and lawsuits. Quotes: Hitler, beast, and parasite are some of the choicier insults leveled by both camps. Some are even calling it the Squid Game election, whatever that means, in reference to Netflix's mega hit survival drama where people are killed if they lose children's games. And the stakes? There's widespread speculation that the loser will be arrested. It's a dreadful presidential election when the losing contender faces prison. Please survive this dogfight in the mire! Exclamation point. End quotes. Senior opposition politician Hang Jun-pyo wrote on Facebook just before Wednesday's election. Lee Jae-myung from the liberal governing Democratic Party and Yoon Suk-yeol from the main
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to today's Global News Update, Millennium TV 24 Global News Network. Here's the news continued. Australia's Prime Minister had described Russia and China's closer relationship as opportunistic rather than strategic. Prime Minister Scott Morrison on Monday labeled the alliance on an arc of autocracy and said Russia and China would prefer a new world order to the one that has been placed since World War II. Morrison has criticized Beijing's failure to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine and China's expansion of trade in Russian wheat, while other countries are imposing sanctions. Australia last week promised Ukraine $50 million in missiles, ammunition, and other military hardware to fight Russian invaders. Morrison said on Monday, "Our missiles are on the ground now." End quotes. Next news. Russian forces intensified shelling of cities in Ukraine's center, north, and south, Ukrainian officials said, appending attempts to evacuate besieged civilians. The Ukrainian leader urging his people to fight in the streets. Russian President Vladimir Putin shifted blame for the invasion, saying Moscow's attacks could be halted, in quotes. This is, only if Kiev ceases hostilities. The outskirts of Kiev, Chernihiv in the north, Mykolaiv in the south, and Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, faced stepped-up shelling last Sunday. Presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich said, heavy artillery hit residential areas in Kharkiv. and shelling damaged a television tower, according to a local official. In quotes. This is likely to represent an effort to break Ukrainian morale. End quotes. The UK Ministry of Defense said of Russian tactics as the war entered its 12th day, Monday. Fighting has caused 1.5 million people to flee the country, which the head of the UN Refugee Agency called, in quotes, the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. End quotes. Next news. New York City shed major COVID-19 precautions on Monday as masks became optional in city schools and restaurants, and other businesses could stop asking patrons for proof of vaccination. In quotes. We're in that place right now where we're lifting our across the board mandate for key to New York City. End quotes. Excuse me. Mayor Eric Adams, who announced the relaxed coronavirus rules last week, said on WINS radio Monday morning. Adams announced Friday that indoor venues, including restaurants, theaters, and gyms, would no longer be required to check the vaccination status of patrons. Businesses can require vaccination if they choose to. However, and proof of vaccination will be required at Broadway theaters at least until April 30th. The Key to NYC vaccination mandate was imposed last year by Adams' predecessor, Bill de Blasio, in a bid to increase vaccination rates by barring the unvaccinated from many activities. The city is dropping the mandate as other U.S. cities, including Los Angeles and Chicago, are also easing some virus rules. Next news. Queen Elizabeth II held an audience with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday in her first in-person engagement since recovering from COVID-19. Elizabeth, who is also the Queen of Canada, met with Trudeau at Windsor Castle, where she has stayed since the outbreak of the pandemic. Trudeau was in the UK for talks on the Ukraine war with Prime Minister excuse me, Boris Johnson, and their Dutch counterpart, Mark Rutte. The Queen has a firm attachment to Canada, a nation she has visited more than 20 times. The pair have known each other for some time. Trudeau met the monarch several times as a child because his father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was one of Canada's longest-serving prime ministers. Pictures from the engagement show Trudeau warmly embracing Elizabeth's hand in both of his. They both smile warmly. The palace's February 20th announcement that Elizabeth had tested positive, the positive test prompted concern about the 95-year-old monarch. This has been the daily global news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites. We're going to keep you updated. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. That's Millennium News 24 on TikTok. Got it? Also, on our YouTube channel, which you have to check out. You gotta like, subscribe, comment, please. Please, please. Our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers, if you're watching this, please, now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment, I beg of you, and latest news and views. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA, Android, Millennium News, Google. Google us. We are out there. Check us out. www.millenniumnews24.com. Stay with us. Keep watching. Stay with Millennium News 24/7. Thank you and have a pleasant tomorrow. Peace.